That's it. We can do the next question. I'm trying to be succinct here.
That's good.
We got a lot of questions. We recently launched a micro coffee roastery, and we've got a lot of questions about it. We have a lot of people asking us about it, so we wanted to answer some of those questions. Really quick update where the roastery is at since the last time we talked about it. Number one, we did another pop-up, and it was crazy busy, which was really great. Thank you to anyone who's watching this who might have come out to that.
Yes, thank you.
We also opened our Shopify store online, so we kind of did that quiet on the DL. We'll talk more about that. And of course, we've been continuing to do more roasts and source more coffees. So we're going to get into a lot of that, but I think what we should do right now is just get into the questions that came in. So I put it out on our Instagram. Anything you want to know, let us know and we'll answer it on camera. And we got a lot of responses.
Yeah.
Which was great.
And we sort of sorted them into questions about equipment. Yeah. Some of you asked questions about the business side of things.
Yep.
Some of you asked questions about sourcing green, what level of coffee we're going to roast.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of questions about that.
And then what our next steps are. So thank you for all the questions that you sent in. And I'm just going to start at the top with the first question is, how could I start a roasting business? What equipment do I need?
Yeah, that is an interesting question. And I think my answer to that would be whatever you can get your hands on. I think if I were to look back, we borrowed a sample roaster from my good buddy James at Mark IV Brothers in Aurelia. He loaned us his Cathologic Nano for a couple months. And I think just getting your hands on something and starting to do it is almost more important than reading about it, having the perfect equipment before you start.
Well, remember you used a popcorn maker
this is
as an experiment? Back.
Yes.
Like just for fun, somebody gave you green beans and you put them in a popcorn maker. Probably wouldn't recommend that for a great result, but...
Yeah, it was a good learning experience.
Yeah.
So I would say...
whatever's accessible.
Just start doing it. That's probably how I would answer that one. And then we got some other specific questions about the roaster that we're using, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, somebody asked, what roaster did you go with?
Yeah, so right now... believe it or not, we're still using a sample roaster, which is a very small roaster, and we're using the Rost. How'd I do on that? Rost. Anyways.
Rost, that's what we're going with.
It's a Norwegian coffee roaster. It is a really, really nice coffee roaster, and I think we'll probably always use that as a sample roaster. Right now, we're also using it as a production roaster, which is kind of like your main volume of coffee that you're putting out.
Yes, which leads me to the next question.
Yes.
What production roaster are we going to use?
Yeah, that's a good question. Pending. Yeah, I don't think we're not totally sure on that one yet.
I think we should say that we are trying to find something that's electric.
Yes.
For our area, a lot of our electricity is produced through hydro.
Yeah. Yeah. So here where we are in Ontario, electricity is very green. Most of the roasters are natural gas. And if we can find something that is electric, it might be a little bit more expensive to run, but it's going to be a lot friendlier on the climate because of how the power is generated where we are. So that's a great point. I think also something with a lot of control is something that we want to look at. So, there's a handful of options out there, I guess, that would do a great job.
Now, we got a couple of questions in person at our pop-up cafe on the weekend. How much do we roast at a time? And how long does it actually take to roast a batch of coffee?
It's interesting. Roasting coffee doesn't take very long, and a lot of people don't realize that. They think it takes like hours and hours. It takes about 10 minutes to roast a batch of coffee in terms of how...
Or less.
Or less, yeah. In terms of how much coffee we're roasting at once, it's about, we put in at the most 200 grams of coffee. So less than a bag. So to do actually one bag of coffee, we actually need to do more than one roast, technically. And it's just because we're using a smaller roaster.
So we grouped some business questions together. A lot of you had questions about the business model that we're doing, and a great question that we have really been wrestling with. Thank you, Am Wilson. What do you feel like you bring to the table that sets you apart?
This is a really important question, and it is something that we have talked a lot about. And the reality is there's a lot of people that are doing this very well. And trying to jump in and say, hey, we have a passion for this. We think we might want to do this. A lot of people are asking us to do this. What sets you apart? And, I think we have our preferences in the cup that are a little bit of a differentiator, but the reality is there's probably also people out there that also share those same preferences. We have our favorite producers. The climate thing is something that I think sets us apart a little bit. But when we boiled it all down, we really felt like the thing that actually makes us the most unique is bringing all of those things to our area in a hyper local way. You know, people that we could drive to, have coffee with, and help them discover something new, I think is really the thing that we're able to do that is unique to us.
Yeah, I would say we want to try to bring people along in their experience of coffee and enrich their experience of coffee. Whatever it is that people enjoy, whatever you enjoy, we want to enrich that for you, help you tune your senses to what you're experiencing and enjoying. Our senses are something that can be tuned.
Yep.
And when we enjoy a cup of coffee, it can really anchor us at the moment. It can anchor you in a conversation. And tuning our senses to enjoy a cup of coffee, I think consumer education and enrichment is part of what we want to bring and offer.
And I'll add, like, our favorite moments with others in coffee are when we can share a cup of coffee and see somebody experience something new for the first time. I love that.
Next business related question is, when do you plan to break even and how are your sales looking?
Yeah. Good question.
Great question.
Coffee roasteries are really expensive to start. We've spent money on stuff like the pop-up cart and all kinds of things, green coffee, obviously. We look at it as an investment. We're investing in the business. We are trying to build out what the trajectory looks like to recouping that investment. But definitely any profits that we are making are going back into the business at this point to try and both scale up and diversify the menu. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would also say we are not sure what our break-even point is yet because we have a big ticket item, mainly the production roaster, that we have not purchased yet. So we will be able to better anticipate that trajectory once we know how much we're going to spend, how much we're going to borrow, and get a feel for the sales. So we have had one batch launched and sold quickly. We were thrilled by that.
Thank you to anybody who jumped on that, by the way.
Yes. Thank you for that. And we don't yet have a good pulse on what regular sales are going to look like in order to anticipate our break-even point. So that is a great question we are also asking ourselves. But we're very grateful for the sales and the support both locally and within our online community. So thank you, guys. Here's a really good business-related question. What are the biggest challenges so far? You're tired.
I'm tired. This is tiring. You know, it's like we have our content stuff that we do. We're parents and we're launching a new business on the side and it's tiring. That probably is the biggest challenge, actually.
Yeah, it probably is.
Cash flow is there too, like trying to manage cash flow and like we can't just take on all this debt, or we don't want to take on like all kinds of debt.
Without a plan. We're trying to build the plan.
We want to kind of scale into things. So I think probably between those two things.
Yeah, I would agree. Another good cash flow related question. Are you making enough to actually cover your expenses?
That's complicated. What would you say to that?
I would say yes and no. We are not making enough to cover our expenses from the roasting side yet.
Yes.
So we have another leg of the business, which is our digital content business, which does cover the expenses, but all of that revenue we're pouring back into the business to get the roastery going. So the roastery itself is not covering its expenses.
Right now. Yes.
Right now.
Yes.
But obviously that is not the long-term plan.
Yes. Do you want me to add to that? I mean, you pretty much summed it up.
I don't think there is anything to add to that.
Yep.
Nope.
Not yet.
Covering its expenses.
Not yet.
Which is part of what makes it challenging is learning how to manage cash flow when you're not recovering all your expenses every time, but you need to keep investing to selling a product.
Yeah. Especially with some of the larger capital expenses, like to continue to grow a roastery, you need to get equipment that can roast more coffee and do higher volume. And so you're continually dipping into your margins to try and do that. So it's this kind of like constant push and pull going on.
There's a really good question from someone named Emmanuel. Are you having fun?
Yeah, I think
mostly
depends on the day.
Usually.
Yeah, like sometimes it is quite tiring. The roasting I really enjoy, cupping, trying different coffees all the time.
Yeah, that is fun.
Seeing that coffee get into the hands of people and hear about what they think of it, positive and negative sometimes. It's interesting. Not everybody likes every coffee. So it's like you're in this journey of discovery all the time. And I like that. Trying to figure out the rhythm of doing that with everything else that we have going on can be a lot sometimes.
Let's shift gears into green buying.
Yeah.
Where you get your green.
Yeah.
How do you decide on
Great question.
a green coffee supplier?
Yeah. So we're in the process of becoming approved within Canada to import coffee directly from producers. That's not just something you can go and do. There's a lot of government stuff that you need in order to be able to do that. Shipping is also very complicated, and it's a lot easier when you start to buy coffee from green coffee importers. And Canada has a really good scene for this. I'm very connected with a lot of importers in Montreal. Actually, there's several good importers in Montreal. I'll list some of the ones that we're working with currently down there in the description. And yeah, that basically that's how we're doing it right now. I guess it's a short answer. Good, trusted importers, high transparency. Yep.
Do you have any tips for sourcing green coffee?
Taste a lot of coffee.
How? Because you can't taste it when it's green.
Yes, good clarification. I think that is contingent upon having a sample roaster. So that's a good clarification. I would say also try a lot of different coffee from different roasters that you like and draw correlations between what you like in the cup, processing method, specific farms, origins. The more you taste, the less intimidating the green buying gets, for sure.
Okay, so the next question is, what origins or varietals are the most fun to roast?
Yeah, this is interesting because I get really excited about the fancy stuff like geishas and crazy processing and all that stuff. That stuff can be kind of nerve-wracking to roast because it's more expensive, and when you're still learning like we are, you're constantly ruining coffee and kind of saying, nope, this is not good enough, can't sell this, didn't like the way that roast turned out, and you just kind of have to take the L. So I would say I find the most fun is with the coffees that are a little bit less expensive and easier to roast with or easier to work with. I think that will change as I gain experience and can make less mistakes, basically. So that's kind of the complicated answer to that question.
Maybe making mistakes is all part of it.
It totally is. It totally is. But when the coffee is worth 3 times as much, the mistake is a lot less fun.
It's a little stressful. Okay, so we talked about green. Now let's talk about the roast level for the beans that we're doing.
Yeah, we get asked about that a lot.
Yes. Okay, so what other Canadian roasters do you compare to?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. Number one, if you haven't dialed into the Canadian roaster scene, it is a really, really great scene. And there are so many roasters doing a fantastic job. I think it's probably fair to say right now we aspire to roast at the level that they're operating at. There are some that we drink very regularly. What Boris is roasting at Hatch, we drink Hatch all the time. Pilot was the first specialty roaster that we kind of got our teeth into like very early on in our coffee journey. We're still tracking with Pilot, and there's so many more. Sorolina and Roasty Coffee, Ply at Rogue Wave Coffee, Kyle at September is just killing it. And there's so many more. Mallet, the Angry Roaster, I talk with a lot. Tanner Portable, he's a Montreal micro roaster. There's a whole network of Canadian roasters. Once you get into it, I'll leave as many of them as I can think of down in the description. I'm sure I'll still miss some of you, so if you just drop me a comment, I'll drop you in there too, because I know a lot of you. I'd say on the whole, we would go for like a medium to a light roast.
Which is our preference when we're drinking.
Yeah. When we get a coffee, doesn't matter if it's a geisha or, a basic coffee. We do it on both espresso and filter. So I think anything that we roast, we wouldn't want it to only work on filter or only work on espresso. We want it to kind of be good on both.
Mm-hmm. The next question is, will we have any dark roasts?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. And I think dark roast is a term that is kind of fluid and has changed a lot over the last 10 years. And I think what was dark 10 years ago is like really dark now. And the whole spectrum on the whole has seemed to have shifted lighter. So I'm also almost not even sure how to answer that question. I will say we want to have coffee that everybody enjoys on the menu. So probably there will be 1 or 2 at least roasts that are a little bit more developed, but dark, bitter, not really our thing on the whole. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say we'll have a range of roasts available, and we will have a really classic traditional profile of something that's like cocoa and nutty, but we want to stay away from being able to really taste the intensity of the roast and more bring out the taste of the bean.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Is that a good way to put it?
Yep, totally.
Okay, so as a follow-up to what roasts are you offering, or what level of roasts are you offering, there's a question of how do you decide what roast level to use?
Yeah, that was John put that in.
Yeah.
Well, what I would say is we would roast it the way we would like to drink it.
Yeah. If we think it tastes delicious, then...
Yep. Yeah. If it needs a little more or a little less development, I think we try both. When we're doing our sample roasts, we always do a bit of a range. So we roast a coffee several different ways, and we try and say, this was kind of the best spot in the spectrum for that coffee. And then we just go from there.
That's a good question. Which origins are you planning to roast?
Yeah, a lot of them.
As many as we can?
As many as we can. We have favorite well-known producers that we enjoy a lot. And I also think that there are producers who are not very well-known who are doing fantastic work. So we want to try and unearth as many of those great coffees as possible and get them roasted.
Yeah. Okay, so next step, some questions you guys had about next steps were, can it be available in Europe? And are you planning on making an appearance in the States? Will you sell internationally?
Yeah, there's a lot of you that are cheering us on, and we really feel the love.
Thank you for the love.
I think that the answer to all of those things is yes.
It is?
Eventually.
Oh, okay.
Not today. So if you go on our website, you can only purchase within Canada right now. There's a lot there for us to figure out. And just to be transparent, we are trying to manage scale. So we are not ready to just go out and buy a production roaster and start roasting, 5-10 kilos of coffee at a time. We need to work our way up to that type of thing. And so we're going to be keeping sales tighter and then expanding slowly as we're able. I think we'll probably do Canada first. Then at some point we'll try and figure out the US thing, and then we'll look more broadly from there. But we really feel the love and appreciate the support.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Next question is, when is your next pop-up?
That's a good
we
question.
don't know. It's a great question. We don't know when the next one will be. We have an invitation for a date in November, which will be pretty cold. So we're thinking about how to do that outside if it were to be snowing, and then potentially looking for some indoor venues because we could definitely pop up inside also. So we don't know the answer to that question, but if you want to know, make sure you're subscribed to our newsletter, because whenever we have a pop-up and a new roast available, we send it out to our mailing list. So you can get that at gotcoffee.co.
I'll put that down there in the description too.
Yeah. And make sure you're on our mailing list if you want to know when our next roast is coming or when our next pop-up is coming. Can I buy some right now? Thank you.
That one was from Bert. Thanks for that, Bert.
Thank you. You can. If you go to gotcoffee.co, there is often a roast available. We are going to try to make something available all the time.
Yep.
But we are still getting there. So if you go today and it's sold out, it will be there soon.
We just put that site live last week. So that is really fresh. If you've gone looking for that recently, haven't been able to find it. But yes, the plan is moving forward, we will always have coffee there. And we're still figuring out how all that works. But we want to continue to do that and expand the menu as we go along as well.
And that's it. That's the last question.
Awesome. Listen, we really appreciate all the support that we have gotten from you guys, all the encouragement as we've kind of embarked on this journey. It really is meaningful to us, and we're really grateful for it. So like Sarah said, if you want to stay in the loop with what's going on with us, you can jump on the mailing list, subscribe to the channel, all that. And if there is a question that we didn't actually answer, you can drop that down in the comments below, and I'll read as many of those as I can and try and get back to as many of you as I can. So in the meantime, we hope your next cup of coffee is fantastic, and we'll see you on the next one.
We don't have a coffee to cheers.
Nope, I know. Maybe we should have made coffee.
Yeah, just for that.